testimony.
Everyone else may be seated. Sir, you may be seated. All right, before we took our lunch recess, we heard from defendant Wayne Greenlaw's counsel for an opening statement. At this time, defendant Ray Greenlaw's counsel, do you wish to make an opening statement or reserve until the end of the state's case?
I would like to reserve, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Will, are you then ready to begin with the state's case?
I am, Your Honor.
What witnesses do you currently have present?
Right now we have Eric Robinson and Nicole Robinson in the hallway. Miss Diane Towsley is in our office to retrieve her if necessary.
If we could, just for purposes of having those three witnesses sworn in and the rule of sequestration explained.
Yes, ma'am. I'll bring in the two and go get Miss Diane.
All right.
Follow me, please. Ma'am, if I can have you stand right here for me, please. And next to her.
All right, let me just verify who we have present. I assume you are Eric Robinson.
Yes.
And you are Nicole Robinson. And you are Diane Towsley. Would you each please raise your right hand and be sworn by the clerk?
Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
I need to advise you of a procedural rule that I will be invoking at this point. It is called the rule of sequestration. It requires that you are now sworn as a witness, that you not discuss your testimony with anyone other than the attorneys involved in this case until your testimony in this trial is concluded. And that may not necessarily mean that it is concluded today. You have the potential to be recalled. So the safest thing would be until the case is decided that you not discuss your testimony with anyone. That's important because you can't discuss it amongst yourselves or with anyone else. I also need to advise you, you must stay away from any juror in this case. I don't expect you to remember all 15 faces that are sitting over there, but it's pretty clear who the jurors are. They wear that nice plastic badge that identifies them as a juror. You need to stay away from them so that even if you were to talk about something very benign, like, you know, the sun's out today, isn't that nice? Somebody may think you're talking about the case. And so you must avoid that appearance of impropriety by not having interaction with any of the jurors. Do any of you have any questions about that instruction? I do need to advise you that in the event you would violate the court's instruction, not only could you potentially be stricken as a witness in this case, but you could also be subject to criminal contempt of court proceedings. It's a fancy word for saying because you violated the court's order, I'd have a hearing, and if I found you guilty of intentionally violating my order, I could have you incarcerated for up to 6 months. So this is serious. I want to make sure you understand it so there's no issues of violation. Before I excuse you, let me inquire of Mr. Will who the first witness will be.
Eric Robinson.
All right, Mr. Robinson, you may stay. Ms. Robinson, Ms. Towsley, you need to step outside of the courtroom until you're called to testify subject to that instruction. You may step out. And Mr. Robinson, you can go ahead and approach the witness stand.
Witness is seated.
And you may inquire.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir. Could you tell us your name, please?
Eric Robinson.
You guys see okay? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Robinson, where do you live?
8 Aspen Street.
And how long have you lived at that address?
I moved in 2008.
And Do you rent? Do you own?
I own.
Have you lived there consistently since 2008?
Yes.
And were you living there on October 29th of 2011?
Yes.
Tell us, please, if you will, a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
I'm a field technician for a satellite installation company.
And where do you work?
My office is in Sanford.
What hours do you typically work?
My day usually starts around 6 a.m., finishes up usually somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m.
And that's 6 a.m. in the office.
Yes.
How long does it take to drive over to your place of business in Sonoma?
About 30 minutes.
And where exactly is 8 Aspen Street in Daytona Beach? Could you tell us a little bit about the neighborhood?
It's High Ridge Estates off of US 92, International Speedway Boulevard.
Is it out near the jail there?
Yes.
Okay. Is it west of I-4? Or the I-4 exchange there on 92?
Yes.
Do you remember if you were working on the morning of October 29th, 2011?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you remember that morning so clearly?
That was the morning there was a shooting in our neighborhood.
Tell us a little bit about your morning routine back then. Who lived in your home aside from you?
My wife, Nicole, and our, at the time, 4-month-old daughter.
Fair to say that times are a little hectic when you have a young one?
Yes.
Hours are flexible?
Yes.
What time did your child wake you that morning?
It was probably around 4:30.
And did you stay awake with your child?
Yeah, what we usually did is we would get up while my wife woke up. I would go in, change her diaper, get her ready, and then my wife would feed her.
Do you remember the weather conditions that morning at all?
No,
Do you remember if it was nice outside?
I don't recall.
Do you remember if you had your windows open?
No.
Anything of significance happened between 4:30 when you woke up and the time that you left for work that morning?
No.
What time did you leave for work?
It was probably around 5:15, 5:20.
Is that consistent with your general habit?
Yes.
Tell us what you do as you exit your home.
My van is parked on the west side of my house. I have a row of trees on the west side, and I park my van in between my house and the row of trees on the west side of my house.
And how do you get out to your van?
I walk out my front door, walk across the yard, and get in my van.
And how long does that take you roughly?
5 to 10 seconds.
You turn on any exterior lights?
I turn on my my porch lights so I can see as I go across the yard.
Do you remember it being dark when you left that morning?
Yes.
It's dark most mornings when you leave at that time.
Yes.
Are there a lot of lights in your neighborhood?
Some people leave their porch lights on, but if they're on our street, there aren't any street lights.
Do you remember if your neighbors across the street, the Greenlaws, had a porch light on the morning of October 29th, 2011?
Yes, they did.
Did you have an opportunity to see up into their yard?
I could see their front patio where the porch light was on.
And what did you see when you looked over there?
4 or 5 men just standing on the patio. I'm not sure what they were doing. I didn't really pay much attention to it.
Did everything look okay?
Yes.
Did you hear any raised voices?
No.
Did you see anything that led you to believe that violence was about to take place?
No.
And again, tell us what time this was roughly?
5:15 to 5:20 in the morning.
Mr. Robbins, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit TT for identification purposes. You recognize that exhibit, sir?
Yes, that's my street.
Okay. Can you find your house in that exhibit?
Yes, it's right here.
If you'll bear with us for just a moment, I'm going to have this mark, and I'm going to also have you verify that another map is exactly this picture.
Okay.
Show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit M for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And you recognize your house in that photograph as well?
Yes.
And it's the same picture in TT that I showed you previously?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, if there are no objections at this point, State would move M and TT into evidence as State's next.
Any objection from Wayne
No
Greenlaw?
objection.
Any objection from Wayne Greenlaw's counsel?
No, Your Honor, is that going to be just one exhibit, or is it separate?
Separate exhibits.
No objection.
All right, M will be admitted as State's Exhibit 1, and TT will be admitted as State's Exhibit 2.
Your Honor, I would would assume that if we're going to use that as an exhibit to explain to the jury, we could relocate over so we can see.
Absolutely, anytime anything's either shown to a witness or discussion with the jury, you may move to be able to see better.
Thank you.
Your Honor, would you mind if I publish this to the jury?
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
They've already seen it, but.
Okay, Mr. Robbins here.
Okay.
I'm going to leave with you State's Exhibit 2. And I would like for you to go ahead and take the red pen and mark your initials on State's Exhibit 2 on the roof of your house. That one there.
On this one?
Yes, sir. Just mark it on the roof of your house there for us.
Okay.
And do you know where the defendants live with respect to your home in that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, can you mark the roof of their house with a red triangle? Okay. And if you would, please, so that everybody can see what you've just done, please take the laser pointer and show us on the larger map where your house is and also where the defendant's house is.
Okay, this is my house here, and the defendant's house would be here.
How far of a distance is that between the two homes?
From front door to front door, I would say 100 yards, maybe.
At most, right?
Right.
Okay. And show us, please, if you will, where your van is parked, when you park your van.
It would be over here. This is our row of trees, and I park my van right here on the side of the house.
And show us, please, where you come out of the home and the route that you walk to the van.
My front door is right here. This is a little screened-in patio, so I would come out right here by the back of this car, and I would just walk across the front yard.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir. After you got in your van that morning, you went to work, right?
Yes.
Okay, and drove all the way to Seminole County?
Yes.
Did you get a call from your wife a little while later?
Yes.
What was her state of mind when she called you?
She was kind of frantic.
And did you have a discussion with her at the time?
Yes.
What was her concern?
That there was a shooting across the street. She was concerned that she was home alone. Just what was going on in the neighborhood, she was just concerned.
And how long did it take you to get back to the home there?
It actually took me a few hours. I had a lot I had to do that morning. It was probably 9:30 or 10 o'clock before I made it back home.
And when you returned home, you found that there had been a police perimeter put up in your neighborhood?
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to speak with police officers that morning?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions at this point.
Start with counsel for Wayne Greenlaw. Do you have any examination of Mr. Robinson?
Your Honor, I would like to remind the court that we were going to instruct the jurors about shared witnesses, witnesses.
Yes.
I thought I did
My
that.
apologies. I didn't announce it. This is a joint witness.
This is a joint witness. All right. If you recall, in the preliminary instructions I gave you this morning, many of the witnesses that are going to be here today are going to handle this instead of the state asking questions and the defense counsel cross-examining the witness. We're going to allow the defense to also go into questions that they would normally ask when it's their turn at the end of the case. We're doing this for the benefit of the witnesses so they won't have to come back. We will identify each witness, whether it is a joint witness or whether it is a state witness or a defense witness. So they will be handled differently. This is going to be a joint witness where every question the defense wants to ask them will all be handled at this time, so Mr. Robinson won't have to come back. There may be other witnesses where not everything will be able to be handled in that way, but we will identify that for you. Since this is a joint witness, you may examine, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Mr. Robinson.
Morning.
When you left your house on the morning of the 29th, and you look out of your house, what direction do you have to look in to see the Greenlaw house?
It would be southwest.
All right. And it's at a bit of an angle, is it not?
Yes.
And, Your Honor, may I approach the witness? The angle is represented to you as earlier marked. Can you show me where it was? You put your initials on
No, mine's on this one here.
it. Okay, I'm sorry. You have your laser pointer?
Yes.
Can you put the laser pointer on the roof of your house, please?
Here.
All right, and go across to the green line.
Here.
So, in this street goes almost due east and west, does it not?
Yes.
Matter of fact, up toward the top of this map, there's a legend that has an N for north. And essentially, it runs east and west, north and south.
Yes.
So you testified when you put it down on top of your roof. And you would be looking from there over the Greenlaw, which would be
Here.
southwest, right?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, if you would please, to look at this photograph that had previously been marked as Defense Exhibit C for identification, and tell me if you recognize what that photograph depicts.
This looks like a picture of my house, taken from the Greenlaw's house.
And looking from your house back toward the Greenlaw house, would that picture be consistent with that southwest direction that you were just telling us about?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
If you were looking from your house back to the Greenlaw house, like you just got through telling us, if you're looking from your house back to this direction, is that consistent with that southwest direction in which you were just referring?
Yes.
All right. And in that photograph, do you see a bedroom window in that photograph?
Yes.
At your house?
Yes, I see my bedroom window.
Okay. And can you identify the bedroom window?
Yes, it's right here.
Would you please take that marker and just put a circle around it, please? And do you and your wife share that bedroom together?
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to ask you to look at this photograph, which has previously been marked as Defense Exhibit A, and ask you if you recognize what that is.
That is my bedroom window.
All right, and that's the bedroom window that you, a close-up of the bedroom window that you just circled, is that correct?
Yes.
And when you left that morning, is that the bedroom window that your wife was in?
Yes.
All right, very good. And then lastly, I want to ask you if you would look at what has previously been marked as Defense Exhibit D, and tell me if you recognize that photograph.
Yes.
And is that the reverse of the first picture, which was taken from the Greenlaw residence looking back toward your house? Where was this one taken from?
It's taken from probably right around my bedroom window.
Taken from your bedroom looking back over toward the Greenlaw, is that right?
Yes.
Also, in this particular one, on the bottom of it, you see what appears to me to be tire marks.
Yeah, those look like the tire ruts that would be from my van.
Okay. And you were telling us where you parked your van.
Yes.
And those appear to be the tire ruts that would be consistent with where you parked your van.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that at these times, these three photographs, Defense Exhibit A, B, and C, be introduced into evidence.
No objection to this statement.
All right, and is Ray Greenlaw's counsel in agreement with those?
Yes, Your Honor, would be also a rate Greenlaw exhibit also.
All right. Exhibit C will be admitted as Defense Exhibit 1. Defense Exhibit A for identification will be admitted as Exhibit 2. And Defense Exhibit B for identification will be introduced as Defense Exhibit 3.
Your Honor, permission to publish to the jury.
You may.
that for you. You have any objection to that as opposed to just passing them, probably quicker?
It's definitely quicker. Is it any objection from Ray Greenlaw's perspective?
No, it's just that we need to move around.
Right,
So we
yes.
can see the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful screen installed in this courtroom, but it'll come down right on your heads. So we are going to have to, every time the screen comes down and a picture is shown, they will be moving in order so they can see what's being shown without any concern for their safety. Usually also dim the lights over here so the picture looks better right there. There we go.
All right. Mr. Robinson, can you see that photograph, sir?
Yes.
All right. And I had previously asked you if this represented the bedroom window of your house that represented where you and your wife were sleeping on the morning of the 29th of October of 2011.
Yes.
And could we go to the next photo, please? Good trying. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, Mr. Robinson, if you would, you are just barely able to see the circle over there, are you not?
Yes.
No, I'm going to pass these around with your project. That circle is the circle that I had you mark to your bedroom window. Was that not correct?
Yes.
And this is a view to your bedroom window that would come from the Greenlaw house that you previously gave us the direction of. That would be southeast from your bedroom. Is that correct?
Southwest.
Southwest. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And this is the opposite view taken from your bedroom to the Greenlaw home, looking southwest out of your bedroom window. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and we're going to sort of point that being the Greenlaw house, right?
Yes.
All right. And the tire track that I indicated down there at the bottom that you can see, that's where you usually park your van. When Mr. Will asked you earlier and you indicated that you park your van, that's where you would normally park it, back over here, back further up, right?
Right, it's back further up the ruts are from where I would drive over the grass.
And as a matter of fact, you park it up by your house, so in fact, there would be an unobstructed view from the window over to the Greenlaw house, with the exception of the great myrtle tree that's in, sort of there, and the tree, and I think it's an oak tree, but some trees in their front yard. Would that be correct?
Yes.
All right, very good. Your Honor, may I now have the jury vote? I wouldn't do it if it. All right, Mr. Robinson, when you left that, well, strike that. Let's go back. You said you got up about 4:30 that morning
Yes,
and left about what time?
probably 5:15 to 5:20.
Very good. And during that period of time, which would have covered approximately 45 to 50 minutes, during that period of time, did you hear any kind of commotion, fighting, or anything like that outside?
No.
You left from the area where we saw the tire tracks in the picture?
Yes,
Okay. Did you back your vehicle in there, or did you just pull it straight in?
I backed it in.
All right, so you got in your vehicle, which was pointed out toward the street, and you drove it out to the street to leave. Is
Yes.
that correct? Now, you testified earlier that you saw a number of persons outside about the time that you left, somewhere between 5:15 and 5:20 that morning,
Yes,
and they were standing outside the Greenlaw residence. Is that correct?
yes.
Can you tell us where they were standing at the Greenlaw residence?
They were on the front porch.
All right. And we haven't have a photograph of that just yet. So you saw them standing on the front porch. And did you see them as you were walking to your car, or did you see them as you got in your car and drove toward the street?
I remember seeing the light was on as I walked towards my van, and so I would have seen them as I was pulling out also.
Okay. And what did you observe about these persons as you saw them?
Nothing really. It didn't seem like there was really anything going on.
Can you recall whether or not the door to the home was open or closed?
I don't recall.
You indicated there was a light on.
Yes.
And where was the light?
It was over top of the front patio. So imagine you're standing on the front patio, it's like directly overhead.
Okay, so it was inside the covered front patio?
Yes.
Okay, and it's, when you come out the front door, there's a concrete walkway with a cover over the top of it,
Yes.
kind of an L-shaped looking sort of thing.
Right, the house is L-shaped and the front patio runs along the east side of the garage.
And so this would have just been a porch light was out there, and that porch light was on.
Yes.
And did that help you to see what you saw over there with the person standing around by the door?
That's what allowed me to see if people were outside.
If that light had not been on, would you have been able to see it?
I doubt it.
What was the morning like in terms of weather and darkness or light?
It was dark. I don't recall anything as far as the weather.
All right, you pull out to the street, you take a left coming out of your house, going down Aspen back toward Roosevelt,
Yes.
and you leave Roosevelt, go out to 92, I guess.
Yes.
And at any point in time, from the time you got in your car, drove out the street, took a left, did you see anything going on over there at all? Remember anything about the persons that you saw there? Do you know either Brian Levitt or Justin Riley?
No.
What knowledge, if any, did you have of Mr. Greenlaw at the time? How many times, Wayne Greenlaw, Wayne Greenlaw, how many times did you see him over the last couple of years?
I had seen him probably several times, just waving as we were coming and going from the neighborhood. I had spoken to him maybe twice.
All right. When you recognized him?
Yes.
And you knew who he was?
Yes.
In the relatively near past to this particular event, had someone else moved into the home, if you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. You don't know whether or not Mr. Wayne Greenlaw had been living in that home by himself for a long period of time?
I do know somebody else lived there. I can't remember. I remember his mother lived there. I can't remember if she moved in at the same time he did or later.
But during that period of time, eventually at some point in time preceding this event, you knew his mother was there and another person had moved in, or at least was staying over there for a while?
I didn't know that there was
Okay.
anybody else there.
All right, very good. You didn't know the mother was there either?
I knew the mother was there. I didn't know there was anybody else.
All right, very good. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Counsel for Ray Greenlaw have examination.
Thank you.
Sir, just a a couple of questions. Did you know at that particular time a person identified as Ray Greenlaw?
No.
And when you saw these 4 to 5 people standing on the porch there at 9 Aspen Street, I think you said you really didn't pay that much attention. There didn't appear to be any reason to be paying any attention to that, your first statement. But did you recognize any of those people?
No.
Now, do you recall, as you were pulling out, whether or not there were any vehicles parked in the driveway at 9 Aspen Street?
I know there were a couple of vehicles. I couldn't tell you what was there.
So you think there were a couple of vehicles there, but you wouldn't be able to tell us the type of vehicle it was. Is that a fair statement?
Right, I just didn't pay attention.
I don't have anything further. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Wall?
No questions, Judge. Oh, actually, I do have one, I'm sorry. The photographs that you were just shown by the defense, do you have any idea when those were taken?
I was told they were taken, I believe, last week.
Okay. But you don't have any personal knowledge, you weren't home when they were taken?
I wasn't home.
Okay. Good enough, thanks.
Anything further? Based on
No.
that?
None on behalf of Ray Greenlaw.
All right, not to redirect. Ms. Robinson, you are excused, but not released from the proceeding. What that means is you can go home, but you are subject to recall later in the trial. So you are released from that subpoena. You are subject to the court's instruction to leave early.
Thank you.
Judge, we were just talking about some reason for us to keep it. These expressions, okay, lost the fire, that's the context. We don't have a problem with racing, so sorry to you.
It's not as much what the right to me as it is with the defendants. Mr. Lawrence, any objection on behalf of Wayne Greenlaw?
Would that be in my view, the single circumstance where he would be recalled? So I don't know.
Mr. Reagan?
I would agree that everything that testified to is
Right, subject to lack of objection, you may stay in the courtroom when you wish. Next witness would be Nicole Robinson.
That's correct.
We'll call it examination on direct, cross, redirect.
Call me, please.
As Ms. Robinson has previously been sworn, she may approach the witness stand directly.
This is seated.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you today? Or afternoon? Good afternoon, let's try that.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Could you tell us your name, please?
Nicole Robinson,
Where do you live, Ms. Robinson?
8 Aspen Street,
How long have you lived at that address?
7 years.
Is your husband Eric Robinson?
Yes,
And were you guys living there back in October 29th, 2009? Or, excuse me, 2011?
yes,
Do you remember an event occurring in your neighborhood that morning?
yes.
Okay. Before we get to that, can you take the little laser pointer there in front of you and point to your house on the map that's next to you? Okay, that house right there is yours?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know Wayne and Ray Greenlaw?
I know, I've met Wayne.
And where did Wayne live with respect to the home that you just showed us? Show us with the laser pointer, if you would, please. Okay. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. At the time of this occurrence on October 29th, you had a small child, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about how the morning went that day.
My daughter was 4 months old, so she was still nursing at the time. She had awoke around 4 a.m. For an overnight feeding, and I got up and my husband was getting ready for work, so I stayed up. And he got up and left for work, and I went to lay back down to go to sleep, and I heard some shouting outside.
Okay, before we get to that, do you remember the weather conditions in the morning at all?
No, sir?
Do you remember the temperature, whether it was nice or mild, or
No, sir?
do you remember if you had your windows open?
I did not.
Where were you when you perceived the shouting outside?
In my bedroom,
And where is your bedroom located in that home?
the front, furthest west.
Closest to the street and furthest west, where's
Yes.
the house?
Yes, sir.
Could you show us on that map, just generally point to it? So that's the front west corner of your house there.
Yes, sir.
The house, or the room closest to the Greenlaw residence.
Yes, sir.
What exactly caught your attention?
My dog was growling, which was unusual. I thought I was hearing interference on our baby monitor, which was in the area by the window. So I got up and picked up the baby monitor, and I was hearing nothing. So then I heard it again, but it was actually outside of my house. So I looked out the window and saw a fight happening.
And roughly what time was it that morning that you saw this fight?
Between 5 and 5:30.
After your husband had left for work?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what you first perceived when you looked out the window and saw this fight.
There were 4 men standing around. There were 2 men fighting. One was on the ground, and a gentleman in a red shirt was hitting somebody that was on the ground with what I perceived to be a stick.
All right, let me slow you down a little bit. How many men total were there?
I believe there were 4.
Of those 4 men, you saw a man in a red shirt, is that what you
Yes.
said? And he was doing what?
He was hitting somebody that was on the ground.
So that's 2 of the men.
Yes, sir.
What were the other 2 men doing?
Standing.
And do you remember how any of those individuals were dressed aside from the man in the red shirt?
No, sir.
As you were looking out the window, where was this occurring?
In the front yard of the home at 9 Aspen Street, Greenlaw.
How far from the front porch area?
It was in the grass.
There's a tree in the front yard, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was it? Kind of give us an idea where it was with respect
It
to
was
the tree.
between the tree and the house in the yard.
Okay. Off the porch,
Correct.
in the grass,
Yes, sir.
between the tree and the front door.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall if there was a light on over at the Greenlaw's residence?
There were 2.
And do you recall if they were illuminating the area?
Yes, sir, they were.
Is that how you were able to perceive colors of clothing?
Yes, sir.
What did you do when you saw this, when you looked out the window?
I stepped away from the window to grab my cell phone, and I called 911 and went back to the window.
Did you continue to perceive the fight?
No, I did not.
And what had occurred in the meantime?
The first thing is I tell the operator that there was a fight, and by then you hear a gunshot.
Did you report the details to the 911 operator as they were occurring?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us today what the precise order and timing of this event was if you were to recreate it from memory?
Roughly.
Or could you tell us exactly with respect to every action, or would it be a better indication to listen to the tape?
It would be better to listen to the tape.
Have you listened to the tape lately?
Yes, sir.
And did it fit with your memory of the event in that was it accurate
Yes,
to
sir.
your recollection? And did you recognize your own voice on that tape?
Yes, sir.
Judge, if there are no objections to this point, state we move R into evidence as states next.
Any objection from Mike Greenlaw?
No.
Any objection from Ray Greenlaw's counsel?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it will be in as States Exhibit 3.
And that's to post it to the jury as well.
So let me do so.
Robin, so we're gonna listen to your 911 call here, and it's a pretty lengthy call, right?
Yes, sir.
And as things are happening, you're reporting to the operator,
Yes, sir.
and that's what we're gonna hear on this case.
Yes, sir.
Where's your emergency?
We're on Aspen Street, Daytona Beach. There's, sorry?
Yeah, what address?
I believe it might be 12. There's 4 men outside fighting.
Aspen Street, you said?
Yes, ma'am, in Daytona Beach.
Is there another intersection or something? Because that's the
There's
other one.
Aspen and Roosevelt, off of 92 Roosevelt.
Oh, Aspen, I'm sorry, I was thinking Aspen. And it sounds like there's somebody fighting out there?
Oh, there's none.
Oh, okay.
Shot in the air. I just watched a guy in a red shirt shoot something in the air.
Okay. Man, is he white, black, or
Somebody
Spanish?
yelling help. I believe they're white.
Get off that wall.
There's somebody yelling help.
Okay, listen to me. Did you see the person with the red shirt? Is he white, black, or Hispanic?
I believe he's white. I can't see very close. I'm looking out my bedroom window. Another gunshot. Another one.
Okay, I've got the call. They're on the way.
Sorry, I'm looking from across the street. I heard going in my dog. And now I've got a baby in the house.
Do you see any vehicles back there?
There's a white Jeep. That's the piece that white Jeep usually has to have.
Call Charlie somebody. They'll really pick up the shift. Charlie 30, or Delta 34 and Delta 33. Okay, I'm just gonna keep you on the phone, okay?
That's fine.
And you said, is their house at the corner there?
No, their house is on the corner. Their house, I think they're, trying to think.
Oh, they're over by the rounded part?
Yes. I'm the third house in on the left. No, right. They're like the one house in on the left. There's a light on. There's a car in the driveway with the lights on. There's another car in the yard. And she's such a man with a bat is walking back to the house.
Okay. And, 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm just listening to the radio that's dispatching at the same time. What kind of vehicle is in the driveway? Did you
A
tell?
white Jeep, and it looks just like a burgundy car in the yard.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't like gunfire. I have a
No, I totally
in the house.
understand. I totally understand. Hold on, because I think somebody else around the corner is calling in too.
Oh, good.
The call I did reference to anything, so don't worry about it. I'm sorry?
I said, good to know I'm not the only one that heard this.
Yeah, they're over on Azalea, so that's where they heard it from.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, my porch light is on at number 8 because my husband just left for work.
okay.
And then all this started. I thought I was hearing a TV somewhere. I'm like, what is this?
Okay. So you're at 8 Aspen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and their house is on the other side of the street, correct?
Yes, they're across the street down, it would be west.
Uh-huh.
I believe the numbers were weird.
Yeah, they're on the odd side.
Yeah, they're not exactly the other, you know what I'm saying? They're kind of offset a little.
Okay. That's fine, don't go to that general area anyways. And then none of the vehicles have left, correct?
No, there's still 2 men in the driveway.
Okay. Did you
The guy
have,
with the red shirt and that was shooting, it looked like a gun in the air, it's still standing out there in the driveway.
and you saw him shoot it in the air, not necessarily at someone?
Correct. Maybe it was orange, I don't know.
That's okay.
And I'm looking across the street into the dark.
Right. And you can't tell if anybody was harmed because they were injured, right?
No, I cannot. It looks like I believe I saw somebody with a bat hit somebody else, and I heard them yell, that hurt.
Okay.
I believe is what I saw when I first called in. but there are no longer 4 men, there's only 2.
Right.
The guy with the red jacket just went in the house.
Okay.
There's still a guy in a white shirt standing out in the driveway. The other 2 people went west. It's this direction I saw them go. They kept going west. There were 4 total.
Okay, so you said they were going westbound? How many of them?
Yes, it looked like 2. There was a total of 4. Everybody was going in that direction, but 2 came back.
Okay.
After, like I said, that was after.
Hold on. Okay, cool. What's that field goal? Hold on, ma'am. What's the field goal? And tell them about that goal. That there's.
And you can find my app and you can call them.
Sorry. Okay. And you can extract all of them. What are you gonna do? Are they gonna see? Okay. Whatever they get up to would have been fine, but go ahead and extract them all so that when they are updating them, they know that they're all related.
XREF?
Yes. And all 3 call numbers at the same time. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The deputies unfortunately were coming from the district, so it's going to be just another minute or so before they get there.
Okay, well, everybody's gone now.
Yeah, somebody else called from Aspen. I think that's where the person that got shot is. He looks like he got shot in the arm is what they're saying.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they're going to have the ambulance come out there as well. And what was your name again?
My name is Nicole.
Nicole.
I don't know who these people are.
Right.
All I can tell you is that was, and I didn't see him shoot out, I just saw him shoot up. I saw the pistol go off.
Right.
I don't like the idea of them shooting back to my house.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, unfortunately, even the people that are coming on duty are coming from still 95 somewhere. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you send a message while we're taking that daughter? Yeah, and that's a great. Sorry about that.
That's okay.